When you look back at some of the older role-playing games, there's a certain design philosophy that just feels different from a lot of modern stuff. And it's not really about difficulty or nostalgia or anything like that. It's about where the story begins. It's about the journey of becoming a hero instead of just starting out as one.
So let's just ask that question. At your table, right now, how does a legend actually begin? Does it start with some grand prophecy, a flash of incredible power, or does it start somewhere a lot smaller, a lot quieter?
Well, there are really two big schools of thought here. A lot of modern games, they start you with competence. Right out of the gate, you're exceptional. You have abilities that make you special. But the OSR, the old school way of thinking, it often takes another path entirely. It starts you with mundanity. You aren't special. Not yet. You're just a person, and you happen to be in a very, very dangerous place.
And welcome to the Dungeon Master's Apprentice. This channel is about RPG design, consequences, and why games actually work at the table. And that second idea is what I really want to dig into first. This power of mundanity. Why is it that a world that feels heavy, a world that kind of pushes back at you, can feel so incredibly real when you're sitting around the table? Well, it all comes down to a concept we can call friction. And look, this isn't about making the game hard just for the sake of it. It's about texture. Friction is all those little things that ground you in the reality of the world. Torches burning out, counting your rations, feeling the actual weight of the treasure you're trying to haul out. It's the stuff that makes the world feel solid under your feet.
So suddenly, your inventory isn't just a list of cool magic items, it's your lifeline. Every single torch is a little bubble of safety against the dark. Every ration is literally another day you get to live. And yeah, that 10-foot pole, it's not a meme, it is a 100% vital tool for not dying when every flagstone on the floor might be a trigger for a trap.
And think about that for a second. When light itself is a resource you can run out of, darkness stops being just an inconvenience. It becomes an active threat, a monster in its own right. I swear, the sound of a torch sputtering out in a huge, dark cavern is one of the most tense things you can experience in a game.
And it's the same exact thing with food. When you're actually tracking your rations, the simple act of finding a safe corner to rest and have a meal, that becomes a victory. It's this moment of profound relief that makes the struggle to get there feel like it actually mattered.
Because here's the absolute heart of it. All of this friction, all these little details, they're all pointing to one core truth of this style of design. Your survival is not a given. It is not guaranteed. And that vulnerability, that's the foundation for the entire emotional experience.
This quote just nails the starting mindset perfectly. It's such a powerful shift. You're not thinking about your grand destiny or your epic quest. You're thinking about your next meal, you're thinking about how many torches you have left, and you're thinking about how in the world you're going to get out of this room alive.
But here's the thing, you don't stay that way. And this is where the real magic of this design happens. It's in the slow, natural transformation from a game of pure survival into a genuine high fantasy epic.
Just think about that progression. Early on, you're meticulously counting every single torch, and then, many levels later, you're just casually casting a spell that creates magical, permanent light. You go from foraging for a handful of berries to conjuring a magnificent feast out of thin air. All those mundane problems that used to define your entire existence, they just fade away. The fear of a 20-foot fall eventually gets replaced by the ability to literally fly.
And because you remember what it was like before, that progression feels completely 100% earned. It's not just another power on your character sheet, it's a fundamental change in how you interact with the world, and is born from the memory of how limited you used to be. That contrast is everything.
If you want more personal thoughts on RPG design and consequences, especially the ideas that don't always fit into a video, I write a short newsletter between uploads. There's a link in the description if you want that.
So let's get into the psychology of that for a minute. Why is this arc, this earned transformation, so powerful for players? It's not just about getting stronger. It's about how that newfound strength is framed by what they've already been through.
And this gets at what some folks call the baby superhero problem. Now, this isn't a knock on modern games, not at all. It's just a design observation. If you start a character off as this incredible, competent hero, where do you go from there? The emotional journey of growth can sometimes feel a little bit flattened because your starting point was already so high.
See, the goal of this older design style wasn't just to hand out power, it was to manage the player's perspective. It was to give you the real, tangible experience of being normal, so that when you finally became extraordinary, you would truly deeply feel it.
And as DMs, we've all seen this at our tables, right? Years from now, your players aren't going to remember the exact +1 bonus they got at 3rd level, but I guarantee you they will remember the sheer overwhelming relief of finding an ever-burning torch after spending 10 sessions absolutely terrified of the dark. They remember the transformation because they remember the struggle that came before it.
And really, that's the whole philosophy in a nutshell. Don't just hand players the extraordinary. Start them on the ground. Start them in the mud with flickering torches and not enough food. And then, through their own wits and their own struggles, just let the extraordinary emerge.
It's a design that lets you start as just some person trying not to starve in a dark hole in the ground, and allows you, through play, to actually become a legend, to feel like something mythic, if you don't die.
And until next time, adventure on.